Hello and welcome to Eagle News International UK and Europe edition. I'm Love Ann Season reporting from London. In our news roundup, England cuts COVID isolation period to boost economy. UK's Foreign Secretary seeks to break ice with the European Union over Northern Ireland trade. European Union eyes nuclear and gas as green on sustainable energy list. Also with us is Mian Glauser from Switzerland. Hello, Mian.
Hi, Lavan. So we'll be reporting about Omicron considered as dangerous, according to the WHO chief.
Thank you, Mian. Now from the United Kingdom, Aribel Celestino reports about the reopening of a London exhibit of watercolors painted by Britain's Prince Charles. In sports, Milan beat Roma to move a point away from Summit. This is a report by Keith Dumabuyu. And in our final segment, View from Our Window, we'll soak in the breathtaking views as we head to the peak of Crête du Midi from Valais, Switzerland. Do stay with us until the end of our show. The UK government said Thursday it will cut the minimum self-isolation period for those with COVID-19 in England from 7 to 5 days to help boost economy. In a statement to MPs announcing the change, Health Secretary Sajid Javid said the government had reviewed the policy to make sure it maximized activity in the economy while minimizing the risk of infectious people leaving isolation. The new rules to take effect from Monday will instead require those with coronavirus to test negative on a lateral flow device on day 5 and 6 in order to end their isolation. It follows the government cutting the quarantine period in England from 10 to 7 days in December as it sought to mitigate the fallout from an unprecedented wave of new cases fueled by the Omicron variant. Javis noted that the data from the UK Health Security Agency showed around two-thirds of positive COVID cases were no longer infectious by the end of day 5 of staying at home. Britain, one of the hardest hit countries in Europe by the pandemic, registering more than 150,000 deaths, has seen the huge wave of Omicron cases that began last month ease somewhat in recent days. But following weeks of record infections, millions of people have been forced to self-isolate, straining staff levels in key areas such as healthcare and education. The government hopes that shortening of the mandatory isolation period will help ease the staffing shortages, alongside an earlier change allowing close contacts to test daily rather than also stay at home. It comes as official data released last month showed Britain's economic recovery from pandemic fallout slowed more sharply than previously thought in the third quarter of 2021, even before the arrival of Omicron. UK's Foreign Secretary Liz Truss on Thursday hosted her first face-to-face meeting with European Commission Vice President Maros Sefcovic, aiming to thaw frosty relations over post-Brexit trade in Northern Ireland. The two sides are focusing on Northern Ireland, which has the UK's only land border with the European Union and has been a major stumbling block in the entire Brexit process since the 2016 referendum. The Northern Ireland Protocol was signed separately from the wider 2020 Brexit trade deal between the UK and the EU and aims to avoid a hard border on the island. But to keep the border open, a key plank of a 1998 peace agreement that ended decades of violence over British rule in Northern Ireland, the province is effectively still in the European single market. As discussion started, Sefcovic tweeted, sharing photos of the pair greeting each other and walking in Chevenix's picturesque grounds. Sefcovic added, "My objective, stability, predictability in NI," noting that they had the opportunity to build a far-reaching proposals set out last year by Brussels to ease the on-the-ground tensions. The list known as the EU's taxonomy, which will determine what sources are seen as sustainable, is to be presented by the European Commission this January. Among these green energy resources, nuclear and natural gas are expected to be included, according to the Internal Market Commissioner Thierry Breton. These sources would therefore be eligible for investment under rules promoting the 27-nation bloc's shift to a carbon-neutral future. The list was supposed to have landed before the new year, but it had been held up by a deep division by state members over including nuclear and natural gas. An EU summit that was held last week failed to bridge the gaps. France has been pushing for nuclear, a resource which provides more than 70% of the country's energy production, to be included along with around a dozen other countries. They are, however, facing resistance from Austria, Germany, and Luxembourg. Australian Environment Minister Leonore Gewessler, attending a meeting of EU counterparts on Monday, said nuclear energy was not climate-friendly and has no place in the taxonomy, and they will take legal steps, including legal action, to block it. Breton emphasized the need of the European Union to double its electricity production over the next 3 decades and that it is simply not possible without nuclear power. On the other hand, Eastern European countries such as Poland, who rely on fossil fuels for their power, want natural gas to be on the list, or at least as an interim energy source. Breton said the EU needed to be pragmatic on that point. Gas is certainly not an ideal energy source for achieving carbon dioxide neutrality, but gas is still better than coal, he said. Time for a break now, but please come back for more Eagle News International UK and Europe edition.
letter sender ngayong linggo, January 16. Sa Letters and Music, 1 to 2 p.m. dito lang sa Net 25. See you!
Ang Omicron variant ay isa na ngayong malaking banta sa 2022. Ang kamakailang pagtaas ng mga kaso na dulot ng variant na ito ay maaaring magkaroon ng negatibong epekto sa paglago ng ekonomiya sa unang quarter ng taon. Dagdag pa rito, ang pananalasa na dulot ng Bagyong Odette ay nagdulot din ng pinsala sa ekonomiya ng bansa. And as the May elections are nearing, the business sector is concerned about where the Philippine economy will go with the candidates receiving a majority on May 9. But how can entrepreneurs ensure their company's long-term viability despite the current situations? What innovations are required for each company's long-term success during these times? In this episode, we'll tackle those questions with our guest, Mr. George Barcelon, President of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
Running a government is quite complicated. Ang dami mga key departments. You know, what we're looking for is really who are the people that would be gravitating to some of these candidates.
All these, this episode, open for business.
back to Eagle News International UK and Europe edition. I'm Love Ann, and more stories now in the UK and Europe. More than 15 million cases were reported to the WHO last week, with millions more cases thought to have gone unrecorded. Here is correspondent Mian Glauser from our Switzerland Bureau to tell us more. Hello, Mian.
Yes, you're right, Love Ann. The Omicron variant of COVID-19 continues to cause huge global spike in cases as more and more countries are being confronted with unprecedented caseload of people infected by the disease. And while Omicron is seen to cause less severe disease than that of the Delta variant, Chief of the World Health Organization (WHO) Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus announced in a press conference that Omicron is still considered dangerous, especially for those who have not yet been vaccinated against the disease. We mustn't allow this virus a free ride or wave the white flag, especially when so many people around the remain unvaccinated, according to WHO's Director General. Tedros Ghebreyesus continues to put emphasis on the great necessity of getting majority of the world's population vaccinated. He wanted every country to have 10% of their population vaccinated by the end of September 2021, 40% by the end of December, and 70% by mid-2022. However, 90 countries still had not even reached 40%, and 36 of them are still short of the 10% mark. In Africa, for example, over 85% people are yet to receive a single dose of vaccine. According to WHO Director General, we can't end the acute phase of the pandemic unless we close this gap. And while vaccines remain very effective at preventing death and severe disease against COVID, he added that they do not fully prevent transmission. More transmission means more hospitalizations, more death, more people off work, including teachers and health workers, and more risk of another variant emerging that is even more transmissible and more deadly than Omicron. The number of deaths worldwide averages at around 50,000 per week. Learning to live with this virus does not mean we can or should accept this number of deaths, according to Ghebreyesus. Back to you, Love Ann.
Thank you, Mayan, for your update in Europe. Hope you can join us again next time, but please take care and stay safe.
Yes, stay safe also, Love Ann. Thank you for having me. I'm Ann Glauser reporting from the Geneva, Switzerland Bureau, and we live in interesting times.
An exhibition of watercolors painted by Britain's Prince Charles, the biggest of his works to date, reopens to the public in London. Here is correspondent Aribel Celestino with his story. Let's take a look.
The largest collection of watercolors by Queen Elizabeth II's eldest son and heir, Prince Charles, have gone on display in Britain. The 79 works feature snow-capped Scottish mountains and the Welsh countryside, French Provençal peaks, Mount Athos in Greece, and the Transylvania region of Romania. The 73-year-old Prince of Wales paintbrushes have also captured the Swiss Alpine resorts of Klosters and St. Moritz, as well as the French chateau of Le Barroux. Mountains are a favorite, especially been aboard in the Cairngorms of northeast Scotland, which he has painted several times at different times of the year from several angles. As he explained in notes accompanying the exhibition, which runs until February 14 at the 19th century Garrison Chapel at Chelsea Barracks in London, he chose watercolors because he found photography unsatisfactory. Here's Rosie Alderton, manager of the exhibition, giving a few more details about Prince Charles' painting. Let's listen in.
He loves landscapes. I'm not actually aware that he paints a lot other than landscapes. He really likes to paint en plein air, so he loves to be outside in the environment, and he talks a lot about how photography doesn't quite have the same effect as painting because he likes to capture the essence of places. He's led a very sort of well-traveled life, which I can say for sure I'm definitely jealous of. And back to the capturing the essence of the place comment, you know, he does it so beautifully, and you really do get transported to, well, he said transported to another dimension, which I think is a really lovely, evocative way of describing the process of creating art.
Charles, the most senior royal after the 95-year-old Queen, has found time in his schedule of official engagements over the last 50 years to paint some 680 watercolors. He has sometimes signed them A.G. Carrick, a pseudonym created from the initials of his other given names, Arthur and George, and one of his titles, the Earl of Carrick. The exhibition's curator, Rosie Alderton, said Charles came from a lineage of artists. Charles' father, Prince Philip, who died last April, aged 99, was a prolific painter, as was Queen Victoria, who reigned from 1837 to 1901, and until Queen Elizabeth II was Britain's longest reigning monarch. None of Charles' original watercolors have been sold, but sales of lithographs, including from his Highgrove estate in Western England, have fetched huge sums for charity over the years. All profits from sales go to the Prince's Foundation, which organized the Garrison Chapel exhibition, said Alderton. 50 of Charles' watercolors were previously exhibited at the Hampton Court Palace in 1998 to mark his 50th birthday. Another 30 were put on display by the National Gallery of Australia in 2018 for his 70th birthday. Since 2019, the Prince has had little time to indulge his passion for painting, but Alderton said she hoped he will pick it up again, even when he becomes king. His artworks are really lovely, and it would be a shame if he didn't, she told the AFP. Once again, I am Arabelle Celestino, reporting from London, United Kingdom, and we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Arabelle, for bringing us that report. Time for a break now, but please come back for more Eagle News International UK and Europe edition.
Pangalawang magulang na gumagabay sa ating mga anak sa paaralan. Nagtitiktok ka? Bang, TikTok. Yan ang mga teachers natin ngayon, di ba? Eto na, kamay sa batok. Gladys,
Yes, wait.
sa batok.
Ay!
Ano ang ibig sabihin ng letrang R sa MTRCB? Bakit rin mo pinasa?
Sagana na siya sa love life.
Ito ang Tara Game! Ay, sarap.
It must have been love, but it's over now. It was all that I wanted. Now I'm living without. It must have been love.
Hi, this is Faith Neven. Please catch me on Letters and Music, on air and online this coming Sunday, January 16 from 1 p.m. Over here on Net 25. See ya!
Perwisyong butas na nasa gitna ng isang kalsada sa barangay Tandang Sora sa Quezon City, tinapalan. Iba't ibang modus at scam sa online, ibubuking. Ang hiling na ayuda ng isang mangingisdang pintor, nirespondehan. Pilotong naghahatid ng tulong sa panahon ng kalamidad at pandemya, ating kilalanin.
Sabado, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi. Ito ang Responde, Mata ng Mamamayan.
Welcome back to Eagle News International UK and Europe edition. I'm Love Ann Season. In sports, Keith Dimabuyu gives us the latest in football. Let's listen in.
Alexis Sanchez said he felt like a caged lion after his last-minute strike won the Italian Super Cup for Inter Milan in Wednesday's dramatic 2-1 extra-time triumph over old rivals Juventus. With penalties looming at the San Siro, Sanchez poked home from close range in the 121st minute of a grueling contest to hand Simone Inzaghi his first trophy since arriving at Inter Milan to replace Antonio Conte in the summer. Chile forward Sanchez, who has started just 4 matches this season, was submerged by celebrating teammates as he charged to the sidelines to celebrate his winner, which came after Lautaro Martinez's first-half penalty had leveled Weston McKennie's opener for Juventus. The late goal came as Juventus prepared to send on Leonardo Bonucci ahead of spot kicks. Alexandro miscontrolled a cross, allowing Matteo Darmian to nip in and push the ball to Sanchez, who sent the Inter fans into raptures with a simple finish, snatching the Italian Cup for Inter Milan. Reporting from the United Kingdom for ENI, I am Keith Dimabuyu, and we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Keith, for the sports update. Now, in today's View from Our Window, we are taking a cable car from the village of Vercorin in the Valais region of Switzerland. On your way up, sit back and enjoy the ride as you climb 2,336 meters. As soon as you reach the tip of the Crête du Midi, take a breather because the 360-degree view just gets better. From here, just imagine yourself on your skis in wintertime, or in your hiking shoes from spring to autumn, or simply with a cup of hot Swiss chocolate, enjoying the majestic view. These videos are courtesy of Christine Benedicto from our EBC Switzerland Bureau. Thank you, Christine, for that view. That's it for today's program. Stay safe and keep positive as we bring you more stories next week from the United Kingdom and Europe. I'm Love Ann Season, and we live in interesting times.